Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something really universal, actually learning a new language.
Yeah, but through a really interesting lens. We're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo,
Yeah,
the football superstar.
exactly. Not maybe the first person you think of for language learning tips, but that's what makes this interesting. We've got some source material here looking at how he learned English.
Right. And it's quite revealing. He goes into the how and the why, not just the fact that he learned it.
And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to pull out those insights. What can you, listening, actually take from his specific story, his experience?
Things you can apply, yeah. Whether it's language or, honestly, any gig learning challenge.
Because the key thing the source points out right away is, well, the Ronaldo we see now, speaking English confidently, that wasn't always the case. He started from zero, basically. No English at all.
Absolutely. Let's dial it back like this source does. He was born in Madeira, Portugal, 1985. So, native Portuguese speaker.
And his whole world early on was just football.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
That was the dream, the focus, language learning. Wasn't really on the radar then.
Until the big move, right? 2003, signs for Manchester United.
Yeah, and he's only 18, just a teenager.
And suddenly, boom, he's in England, dropped right into it.
And the language barrier hits hard. The source talks about, imagine trying to get coaching instructions.
Or media interviews.
The pressure.
Yeah, or just, chatting with teammates. Simple things was a real struggle, isolating even.
Definitely an obstacle. And there's a direct quote in the source material that really hits home. He said, when I arrived in England, I didn't speak any English.
Mm-hmm.
It was difficult. I had to learn everything.
That phrase, learn everything, it just captures that feeling of being overwhelmed,
Totally. So many people can relate to that, moving somewhere new, starting a new field.
Yeah.
That feeling of being completely lost.
And the source really frames that as the turning point. Okay, I have to do this moment. But how he did it is the interesting part. Because the source makes it clear it wasn't mainly about sitting in a classroom all day.
No, not primarily formal language school stuff. His big strategy, immersion.
Just living it, learning by being surrounded by English in Manchester.
Which meant, according to the source, he had to be super active about it, not just letting the language wash over him.
Right. He was constantly trying to understand, piecing things together, watching people, listening really hard.
And crucially, asking questions. That comes up a lot.
So what kind of immersion are we talking about? The source lists some specifics.
Yeah, things like watching English TV shows.
Yeah.
Probably less for the story, more for the sound and rhythm at first.
Listening to English music, too.
Definitely. And really using his environment. Yeah. Practicing with teammates was huge at meals, after training, whenever.
Okay, and this detail feels really important, something the source highlights. He wasn't afraid to ask people to correct him.
Yeah, that's a big one. He actively sought out feedback on his mistakes, not hiding them.
That shifts it from just being in the environment to actively using it to learn, right?
Exactly. It makes the immersion active, not passive.
Mm-hmm.
And what's great, as the source points out, is you don't have to move to England to do this stuff.
You can build that world around you now.
Totally. With podcasts, music, online communities, the tools are there.
Okay, so let's break that down, because this is where the source gets really practical, turning his story into actionable steps for anyone.
Right. Strategy number 1, based on his approach, immerse yourself daily, consistently.
It doesn't have to be hours, though.
No, the source suggests even 15, maybe 30 minutes a day. Focused, listening podcasts, interviews, songs, whatever, or reading something you find interesting.
Okay, consistency over quantity makes sense. And number 2 connects back to what you just said.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is key. The analysis suggests Ronaldo just went for it. He spoke.
Prioritizing communication over perfection.
Yeah. Understanding that fluency comes through the errors, through the practice. You can't wait until it's perfect.
That's often the biggest hurdle, isn't it? That fear.
Absolutely. Which leads nicely into the third strategy. Use what you love.
Like Ronaldo used football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He talked about it, watched it, listened about it in English. So if you love cooking, Find English cooking shows or recipes.
History, music, gaming, whatever your thing is.
Right. Make the language part of something you already enjoy. It feels less like homework then.
Smart. And the fourth strategy.
Ask for help, like he did with teammates. The source points out we have even more options now.
Teachers, language partners online?
Yeah, or even technology. The source actually mentions using things like ChatGPT to practice, get corrections, ask questions.
Interesting. But it wasn't just about these techniques, was it? The source digs into his mindset, too.
Oh, massively. You can't talk about Ronaldo without talking about discipline, that incredible work ethic.
And the source argues that was just as crucial for his language learning.
It really was. It wasn't like a magic trick. It was applying that same focus, that same relentless training mentality to English.
So progress over perfection again, step by step.
Day after day, just like training on the pitch. He wasn't expecting to be fluent overnight.
There's that great quote the source includes, "I always try to improve."
In football, in life, in language.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just connects it all.
It frames language learning as another skill to be honed, not some separate academic thing.
Exactly. Part of his overall drive for self-improvement.
So where did all this lead? What's the outcome we see today?
Well, the source points to the obvious. He's a confident communicator in English now. You see him giving interviews, handling press conferences.
Engaging in his charity work, speaking publicly.
Right. And the source makes a good point. His English isn't necessarily, Shakespearean. He's not using super complex words all the time.
But he's clear. He gets his message across effectively.
And that's the key takeaway, isn't it? The goal was, and maybe your goal should be, clear, confident communication, not flawless grammar right out of the gate.
Yeah, that feels much more achievable. The source even mentions some practical exercises inspired by him, like reflecting on his process or repeating useful phrases.
Showing how you can directly model that practical step-by-step approach.
So if we boil down the core lessons from Ronaldo's journey, as presented in the source material,
it really comes down to patience, first off. Consistency, doing it regularly.
courage, being willing to speak and make those mistakes.
And underpinning it all, just plain hard work and discipline.
Yeah.
Applying yourself.
And crucially, he didn't wait for the perfect time or the perfect course. He just started with what was around him.
Used his situation, his passion, his drive. The source really emphasizes that you can do that too, wherever you are.
Which leaves us with a really powerful final thought inspired by the source's message.
Yeah, think about this. Ronaldo's story really shows you don't need to be perfect. You don't even need to be good to start.
You just need to begin.
And then keep going. Improve step by step, day by day.